It usually starts on a quiet Sunday afternoon. The tea is poured, the snacks are arranged, and a trusted financial advisor arrives in the living room. It is a highly ritualized, incredibly common scene in middle-class homes. The moment the professional sits down, a subtle psychological shift happens. Watch how shoulders drop. Critical thinking is quietly put away, replaced by polite hospitality. The polished shoes, the pristine folder, and the confident tone do a lot of heavy lifting. These aesthetics create a comforting environment that acts as a subconscious substitute for actual financial clarity. Families lean on a specific defense mechanism to avoid the discomfort of doing the math. They tell themselves, "He works in a bank, he knows." That phrase shuts down all analysis. The family treats the silence as respect for the advisor's status, pausing their own curiosity to maintain the harmony of the room. The pitch usually centers on a comprehensive plan. The advisor uses emotionally comforting words like guaranteed, disciplined wealth creation, and family protection to mask the fact that he hasn't shared a single mathematical metric. A bundled product splits your premium into unequal pipes, a medium pipe for insurance, a massive leak for premium allocation charges, and a tiny trickle for investment. If you try to exit this bad deal, severe surrender penalties trap your money for years. A financial product engineered to be everything to everyone usually excels at nothing. Its primary function is generating front-loaded commissions for the person selling it. Interrupt the pitch to demand objective data, like actual post-fee returns or a breakdown of administrative charges, and the social contract of the living room breaks. The advisor will rarely give a straight number. The standard defense tactic is a practice smile, followed by deflecting the question with generalized stories about long-term market performance. In these living rooms, demanding hard beta often registers as a breach of hospitality, a social transgression in a room built on polite agreement. The tension peaks if you ask for a direct comparison, putting this expensive bundled product side by side against a cheap, unbundled term insurance policy. A family will aggressively haggle over the price of daily groceries, demanding exact value for every rupee. Yet they will hand over 20 years of savings to a polished stranger without a single clarifying question. This hesitation is rooted in a specific middle-class anxiety, the fear that asking for a simpler explanation will publicly reveal financial ignorance. After the advisor packs up his folder and leaves, an uncomfortable reality settles over the room. The family realizes they mistook the advisor's confidence for their own clarity. This behavioral pattern is generational. True financial maturity were often intimidated by official stamps, banking terminology, and fluent English, assuming the professional across the desk automatically knew best. The true test of financial authority is simple. A competent advisor becomes clearer and more precise when questioned. A dangerous advisor becomes vague and slippery. Modern households often perform the outward rituals of responsibility, like hiring a professional, while bypassing the harder task of actually understanding the investment. Setting boundaries solves this. It is entirely acceptable to outsource the execution of a financial plan. You can delegate the paperwork, but you can never outsource the accountability. True financial maturity requires staying awake at the table. You take the advice, you respect the expertise, but you refuse to hand over your brain